Welcome to the Scoop World Orders Wednesday. Caleb Downs is officially in the portal. We did about 6 straight videos of him. So the seances came true, and now he's in the portal. It's between us and Georgia. It's time for the foundation to step up to the plate. Kadyn Proctor is also in the portal. A lot of heavy leans towards Iowa, but hey, we got money and we're ready to roll, and we need a tackle. So we're going to get into all that, and we're also going to break in to Bjork's new press conference. He I think, crushed it today, replacing Gene Smith. I think we have a massive upgrade coming our way in terms of who is running the athletic department. He gets it. He's an NIL guy. He knows how to fundraise, so this is going to be really fun to cover. That being said, as always, we appreciate you guys so much for being a part of our show. Again, thank you. If you guys have super chats that are ready to go, get those fired up. If you have questions, answers, it's all we're bringing all day. Again, the super chats have been awesome. They go to pay it forward. So thank you to all of you guys that have been supporting that. It's been huge. Additionally, if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. Shout out where you guys are watching from. And man, tell me in the comments, what would it mean if we could land Caleb Downs to be the captain of our back end? This would be a massive haul for Ryan Day, Tim Walton. It's gonna be a big one. I'm telling you, this guy is a kid that of all the spots that we need, a lot of people know we need a tackle, but if we had another true superstar safety to this defense, oh God, what could happen? I'm gonna bring in Nevada Buck. Nevada. There's a lot of rumor about Caleb Downs entering the portal. He entered within the last hour or so officially. A lot of people are worried about Georgia. Obviously, Georgia's got kind of the home field with the cornerbacks coach moving over there, T-Rob. But your thoughts on Caleb Downs? Because I think Caleb Downs is a guy, if you're looking at everything and looking at what we provide and looking at the fact that we came in second over Georgia, I like where we stand. And I know the foundation is ready to make him a humongous offer to come here. So what are your thoughts on Caleb Downs?
Well, first, I should tell you where my information on Caleb Downs is coming from Caleb Downs' people, from his representatives. So that's where my information is coming from on Caleb Downs. That's where I got the information that he was reaching out. That's where I got the information that he was most likely to go into the portal once they found out who the defensive coordinator was going to be. And, as we sit right now, what I've been told is that Caleb always liked Ohio State. As you said, Ohio State was a runner-up in this derby. You've got previous issues with Georgia that have been well documented, that there's been some hard feelings between the Downs family in general and Caleb in particular with Georgia. And, they've got a ton of safeties. Not that he's really worried about whatever, but they do have a ton of safeties. And Georgia's NIL game right now, if you remember before the bowl game, a bunch of guys went into Kirby Smart and were like, hey, we need some NIL money regularly. And he's like, well, just do what you got to do. And a bunch of guys headed out the door. So their NIL game right now isn't exactly on point, whereas Ohio State's is kind of figuring it out. So I think all those things combined, as you mentioned, on the other side of the equation is proximity and his position coach being over there at Georgia. So, and that weighs heavily on this decision as well. That's why I think it's a close one. What I've been told is that there would be visits. I assumed when they talked about visits that it would be visits, for Caleb to the spot. It looks like it may be the people coming to visit Caleb. But if any way, Ryan Day, Tim Walton are going to have a chance to make their pitch. They're going to have a chance to kind of lay out what they've got from a defensive standpoint, from a NIL standpoint. And look, if you'd asked me before about a player like Judkins saying, hey, are we going to get this running back from Ole Miss, considering the fact that Trey Henderson's going to be staying and we're going to get him at Ohio State, I would have said, no freaking way. I mean, just no way that we're getting him. So with Caleb, why not? It's been that kind of an off season for us. We've been on a roll. We've got a lot of really positive things lined up, and we've got more than a chip in a chair. And I think it's a coin flip. But we'll know more here, as these visits kind of unfold and as this thing goes. But Ohio State feels really good that they're in the game. And from what I've been told from Caleb's people, they're very, very, very much in the game. And we'll see how this thing ends up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the collective's got to come to the table. I think the foundation has to open the pocket strings up. And, the funny thing about a guy like Caleb Downs is the stakes aren't just the fact that we would get a superstar Pro Bowl level safety to the back end. It's just, if you land them and it's the foundation that does the work, the amount of inertia you would get from fundraising from the fan base. This is a guy that's been the second Nick Saban resigned. People were asking about Caleb Downs, and again, you guys know us. Like, we're real. We follow what's going on, and I've been around players. I've been a player. I've been around coaches, and I know the emotion that comes with a kid like Caleb Downs going from committing to Nick Saban. Nick Saban's the greatest safeties coach who's ever lived, history of this earth. He's the greatest safeties coach who's ever lived. So he retires. And then, T Rob goes, who's the corners coach, goes to Georgia. So he's gone. And then they bring in Kane Womack, who was the head coach at South Alabama and is frankly just a guy. He's never been a guy at a high level. He's been a guy that was at Indiana, South Alabama. He's never been an SEC guy. He's never been an LSU, Bama, Texas, Clemson level secondary coach. Granted, it's great to be the head coach at South Alabama, but he's never been like a prestigious level position coach. And they gas basically the entire coaching staff because the whole staff's coming from Washington. I think eventually the guy's like, man, I gotta look at my next 2 years. And again, I looked at Washington's defense. Like, I watched them. I looked at their rankings. I watched them against Texas. I watched them against Michigan. Like, there's no way if I'm Caleb's dad, I am trusting my son to that staff's development skills on defense. There's no chance. Literally none. I'm saying you're going to Georgia, you're going to Ohio State, you're going somewhere where they know how to put DBs into the pros and not the garbage that they put on tape versus Texas and Michigan. And I know the whole staff isn't all equal, but same head coach. The head coach is signing off on that. And frankly, Washington was a defense away from being national champions, and they were atrocious on defense. I wish that Ohio State could have made the playoffs and played those guys because we had ran through those guys. But kind of is what it is at this point. But I think Caleb Downs is very much in play. I know that the money people are excited about him. And they know that this would be like one of those. Obviously, it's not the level of LeBron come back to Cleveland, but it's like one of those things where if the foundation could get Caleb Downs to come to Ohio State and be the capstone on this defense, like, they know what that would do, in terms of the inflection and the amount of fundraising that it would generate, because people are excited about this guy. Again, he's a safety. Most people don't get excited about safeties, but if we're a safety away from winning a national championship and the best safety in the country hits the portal and he came in second place to come to Ohio State versus going to Bama, hey, let's see what we can do. Well, we're going to get into some super chats because they're piling up. We got to get through these real quick. Tater Buck, thank you for the 5. I'd also give my left Buckeye to see Downs in Scarlet and Gray. Go Bucks. Nevada, I've gotten that a lot today. Text messages, direct messages on BuckeyeScoop.com, emails. I've gotten a lot on Caleb Downs. Your thoughts on what Caleb Downs would add to this defense in 2024?
Well, look, I mean, again, we're always honest with you guys, and that's one of our core values in terms of this. I'm excited about the 2024 defense, regardless of whether we get Caleb Downs. I'm just telling you, like, I really excited about the team. I'm excited about kids like Malik Hartford. I'm excited about getting Lathan Ransom back. I'm excited about all the guys we have on the back end. Just he's a different kind of athlete. He's proven. He's the good thing about getting Caleb is just you can never have enough bodies on the back end, and having experienced bodies on the back end enables you to take some more chances on the front end. And I think that's what we're looking for from Noles defense. Noles defense might have been a little bit too aggressive his first year, might have been a little bit too conservative his second year, and kind of like the porridge was too hot, the porridge was too cold. Now we're getting the porridge just right this year. But when you're strong in the back end, you can do that, and you can blitz more, you can do more things, you can allow the defensive ends to freelance a little bit more. So to me, that's what that would mean. That would just mean that Jim Knowles has more options on his defense. But again, I'm excited about 2024, regardless, and whenever I look at one of these situations, I always look at it from the perspective of the kids on the existing roster. And as hard as we're rooting for Caleb Downs to come, you got to remember there's kids on Ohio State's roster that are rooting just as hard for him not to come, because this is their chance to come shine out, do their thing, and really make an impact on the OSU team in 2024. So whatever the outcome, I'm going to be excited. But we're going to know pretty quickly on Downs. I mean, we're going to know. They want to wrap this thing up here in the next 2-3 days. So we're all going to know. And like you said, it's a great chance for the foundation to show what they can do. And if they were able to land a guy like this, but do I think it would spike donations? I undoubtedly it would, because people would see a direct benefit between what they're doing and results on the field, and that's really what these collectives are all about.
Totally agree. Thank you for the 10. Ryan Coolidge, watching from work. Appreciate you guys. I think the foundation could come up with a great NIL deal for Downs. They already have a huge one on the table. It would be an amazing addition to an already great defense. Go Bucks. It's a 7-figure deal. Again, I don't know what Georgia's going to offer this guy, but I mean, Caleb Downs has got a package that would choke an elephant on the table right now from the foundation. So appreciate you, the foundation, for stepping up to the plate. If we do not get this kid, it's not because of a lack of effort from the foundation, our premier NIL group. But, again, I think it's going to be, they talk conference and relationships, but I'm just like, if you look at this defense and how good it was last year, and you throw in one more top-notch safety, I can't imagine why he wouldn't be excited for it. But that's my opinion. Devon Johnson, thank you for the 5. What's up? Watch the show every day. Anything on the offensive coordinator hire, OHIO? Well, there's not much smoke on that right now. I don't know if Ryan's waiting for Joe Brady to get knocked out of the playoffs by the Chiefs potentially this weekend, or if he's waiting for Jason Candle, or if he's waiting for Corey Dennis's contract to expire, which is on January 31st, which is in about 2 weeks. Not a lot of new smoke. I mean, Ryan's been on the road recruiting. He's been with James Laurinaitis. He's been in Florida. So it's not like there's interviews going on in the Woody Hayes right now. But again, the chalky guys are there's a couple NFL guys, Joe Brady, Brian Johnson from the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles turned into a catastrophe the last 8 weeks. So I'm not sure if he is the prettiest belt at the ball at this point. Jason Candle makes a ton of sense from Toledo. Liam Cohen from Kentucky is a guy that had some steam. I think if I'm Ryan and I'm trying to keep the band together and develop Brian Hartline, I think Jason Candle makes the most sense because he's been a head coach for 6-7 years at Toledo. He's run the offense. He's run the program. I think any sort of concerns that you would have about him being the head coach of the offense are alleviated with the fact that he's been the head coach of a really good MAC program at Toledo. If you can run a MAC program, you can run the offense at Ohio State easily. Liam Cohen is the guy that's bounced between the Los Angeles Rams to Kentucky, back to the LA Rams, back to Kentucky. That is a little concerning to me, frankly, because he was the OC for the LA Rams for 1 season and he got fired and he came back to Kentucky. And again, if you're the OC for the LA Rams, you're not a play caller. You're kind of like the fake OC, like how Brian Hartline is like the fake OC for Ohio State. And he's the offensive coordinator, but he doesn't call the plays, so you're not really the coordinator. So I worry more about Liam Cohen than I do Jason Candle, but it'll be fascinating. Again, I like to give you guys lists of names of people that are potential candidates, but, again, I've said it ad nauseum over the last, however long we've been doing this since the OC job opened up. A lot of times these guys come out of left field. When we hired Ryan Day in 2018, nobody ever heard of him, and that's part of the deal. So that's just part of the deal. I mean, we have guys that are kind of in and out of the limelight, and nobody had heard of Ryan Day when we hired him. Ryan Day was a guy that was fired 2 straight years. He was fired by the Eagles. He was fired by the 49ers. And then all of a sudden, he winds up our OC, and he did great work. And he became our head coach. So, when we hired Ryan Day, nobody was like, oh, God, that is the guy who's going to succeed Urban Meyer one day. They're just like, who is this guy? Why is he our hire? And he sucks. Like, that was kind of the initial reaction to Ryan Day. But, Nevada, your thoughts on the OC searches? Because, again, it's it's one of those things where it seems kind of lazy to say that we don't really have a name, but just based on the history of all of this, there's always been this mystery that's come with hiring Tom Herman or Tim Beck or hiring, Ryan Day, guys that, frankly, they weren't household names. They weren't the fair haired children that people are like, oh my god, if we get this guy, it will be amazing. Your thoughts on the OC search as of this moment?
Well, it's been interesting to me to kind of hear who Ryan has been turning to and who he's been kind of getting advice slash input, whatever it is on the on the thing, and you know two of the names that I keep getting from people that Ryan's talked to consistently about this has been Bill O'Brien and Chip Kelly. And I found that interesting because I think some people were thinking of Bill O'Brien as being a potential candidate, but I think he's really just a resource to bounce things off, which really makes me think that Ryan is looking at the NFL. And I think that's the only explanation that makes sense to me at this point in time. We know Chip Kelly is a guy who's been in both at the NFL and at college, had success to varying degrees at both levels, and clearly he's the mentor for Ryan Day. But I think Ryan's continuing to monitor guys from the NFL. I think that's where he wants to look first. I think that's where his first offer is going to be, is to be an NFL guy. And if that doesn't work, I think the college guys are going to be a fallback. And I've got that from a couple of different people that are relatively close to the process, and I think they're right on. I think he's looking to bring in an NFL guy. I think that's where he feels like he can get the most the freshest ideas, the newest sets of eyes, and a person who's got the kind of the credibility that he would feel comfortable turning over the offense to. So, we'll see. And otherwise, this would have been done already. There's no reason for this not to have been done, 7 days ago, 10 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it is. To me, NFL makes the most sense, and I think that's where he's looking.
Totally agree. Joshua Dillon, thank you for the 10. Again, I love the AVI. I don't know. I never know who's in your Stanley Cup raising photo, but if you could put that in the chat, I'd love to know who that is. Hey, Kirk, what are your thoughts or chances that we land Julian Sand? That would be very interesting. Could we get 4 players from Bama? I was supposed to get one, man, but Julian Sand, he's a superstar. Obviously, we took Aaron Noland. I think the staff would have thrown air back real quick to get Julian Sand. I think all bets are off right now with where Bama is headed. I think this is going to be a big spring for Bama. The staff has to win these guys over in a major way. I think that when the pillars of the freshman class start leaving, like Caleb Downs, like Kaden and Proctor, I mean, those are 2 guys that were day one starters as freshmen taking off. So Julian Sand, I think it's totally at risk. So I would love to get him. I haven't heard anything. He's not in the portal yet, but he's got to go somewhere where he wants to play immediately. And we've got some good players in front of him. We got Will Howard, we got Devin Brown. But Julian Sand's a guy that I'm sure Ryan Day would pay attention to as we went forward. Larry Daniels, thank you for the 5. Can the new AD start soon and assume duties and relieve Gene of an active role? Well, it looks like he's starting July 1st. He is a consultant where he's making $175,000 a month right now to consult, which is a good gig if you can get it. And Gene is heading to the big Arizona retirement community in the sky come July. Can't get here soon enough, but he is not he's not relinquishing until July, but he is kind of a lame duck until then. So it'll be interesting to see how much Ross Bjork can get done between now and then. And then when he takes over, it's full on fundraising machine. Again, he had a press conference in front of the dumbest members of our media contingent, asking some of the dumbest questions I've ever heard. So Ross didn't really get any smarter today, but he has a very bright future. And again, between him and Ted Carter, our overall intelligence level has increased substantially between the president and the athletic director compared to where it was a year ago, or even the last 20 years. So I'm very excited to see what these two can do together. Ted Carter is ultra impressive, and Ross Bjork is a huge upgrade at athletic director. So I'm excited to see what these guys can get done. Thomas Ted Way, thank you for the 5. If you have a question, toss that in the chat. Sean Krutka, thank you for the 5. Reports today already called UGA a lock set decision within the next 48 hours. Seems like T Rock is going to be T Rob is going to be the deciding factor. Hopefully, reports are wrong. Well, I mean, sometimes these reports are on point, sometimes they're not. Again, money talks. And I think if Caleb Downs is astute, which I know he is, he's going to want to diagnose, what can I get at Georgia? What can I get at Ohio State? I think he's going to take his time with this. There's no reason to rush it because it's not like they play till September. So he's got time to kind of take his time and make sure he makes the correct decision. Nevada, your thoughts on the Georgia reports? I mean, obviously, it makes sense with his position coach going there, but I think with Ohio State and the way our NIL is killing it, you can't count us out. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's down to 2 teams, so you have to understand how the internet works in 2024. You're down to 2 teams. You're some site. You've got to take a shot. So, the chalky pick is Georgia. That's where his position coach went. So you just throw it out there, and you got a 50-50 chance to be correct. And you do, and then you get your internet clout, and then you flex, and you do the Sir Yacht thing, and you run around and go, I knew he was coming here. But, look, I remember when all the crystal balls were rolling in for USC for Will Howard, and everybody had him there, and he was gone, and they had him in the little Trojan head and with the cheerleaders and everything like that, and now he's the quarterback for Ohio State. So take this stuff with a grain of salt. I'm talking to the people that are directly involved in the negotiations, and I'm just telling you the decision hasn't been made yet. So anybody calling this one yet, they're just wrong. The decision has not been made yet. But could Georgia, prevail? Absolutely. It's down to 2. It's binary. It's either going to be Georgia or it's going to be Ohio State. But he's not going back to Bama, and there isn't a third school. So one of those 2 is going to win, and we'll find out which one shortly.
Yeah, and again, that's why you guys pay for the scoop, because the scoop is real, and a lot of everyone else is fake. Christopher J. Rich, thank you for the 5. Kirby Smart knew he favored Ohio State. That's why he hired Alabama secondary coach. Well, I'm sure that the coach from Alabama had some ability, but him knowing that Alabama roster probably is his biggest ability, and the fact that he knew the guys that could potentially get poached by Georgia. Obviously, Kirby Smart is no dummy, and he knows that his program is a lot more like Alabama than Alabama is now. So there's going to be a lot of kids that are going to be looking at Georgia and say, ooh, I want that old thing back. I want that old Alabama back. And that's potential they could get going. So, it's going to be exciting to see if we can poach these guys because, Georgia's going to be good. Georgia's the new Bama. They're going to be very formidable going forward, but it ain't for everybody. And Caleb Downs did not love Georgia a year ago. I mean, it hasn't been that long since he's been a member of the Crimson Tide. It's probably been 15 months or so. So now he's on the market, and we got to take a big swing at him. Patrick Sullivan, thank you for the 5. With this roster and potential additions, does Day have to win a natty to keep his job? Big game non-conference is bad. I don't know if he has to win a natty to keep his job because I think it's going to be exceptionally difficult in a 12-game playoff. But he's got to win. He's got to win the conference or be ultra competitive in the conference. If he loses by a point in the Big Ten championship, I don't think he's going to get whacked. But he's got to get to the point where he's competitive, and he's got to go win the Big Ten. He's got to beat Michigan. Again, it's unacceptable to beat Michigan, but with what Michigan's losing on offense and defense and at head coach versus what Ryan is retaining, I think Ryan's going to win it. He's going to win the Michigan game this year. He's got to go to the playoffs. He's got to represent and win the Big Ten. And I'm not saying that's to win the national championship because that is so hard to do. Like I said, we've won 2 of them since the mid 70s. So, that's a real high bar. It's 50-ish years. But I think that the thing is he's got to really, he's got to turn up this year. I mean, he's got to be better. He's got the quarterback he wants. He's got the running backs he wants. Defense is loaded up. A lot of veteran players. So he's got to do work. Nevada, do you think Randy has to win a national championship to keep his job?
No, he's got to beat Michigan. I mean, he's got to beat Michigan. That it can't. It's not about close or. And I know you didn't say that before, but I just want to make clarity. Like he can't come up short in that game. Got to win against Michigan, And I agree. You probably got to win the Big Ten. But if you lost that, you got to the 12-team playoff in good stead. That probably wouldn't be the end of the world. But you have to beat Michigan. That is a
No.
prerequisite. And look, we're all rooting for him to do it because we've seen what happens when you change head coaches. Be careful what you wish for, because I hear fans out there going, "Oh, let's get rid of Ryan Day. Let's do this." It's like, man, Alabama. I mean, I'm not saying Alabama's fallen on hard times or anything else like that, but if you look at their roster and look at the kids that they've lost off of that two deep, they're a different squad right now. And we've talked about this many, many times, but they were technically irrelevant for the 15, 20 years before Nick Saban got to Alabama. And it's really easy to slide into the abyss if you just make some changes willy-nilly. You don't have a solid transition plan. You think you're going to get your guy, and you don't, because these coaches are in high demand, and everybody wants to keep them. So, for Ohio State fans, we're all lighting a candle and hoping for Ryan Day to beat Michigan next year so he can continue on a great long run at Ohio State, because I know that's what I'm rooting for.
Totally agree. Uptown Buckeye, thank you for the 10. Yes, I had an article today titled "The Many Missteps of the New Ohio State Athletic Director." It was pretty critical. Did you read it? If so, thoughts? I did not read it. Again, this is the cool thing is when you're someone like Sports Illustrated who's completely irrelevant, they're going to do anything they can to slander Ohio State or slander Ohio State's hires or whatever. They wrote a huge expose on how completely awful Jim Tressel was because of tattoos, and guys were playing PlayStation with some guy that tattooed him, and they got free chicken wings, and they bought Storm Klein's hip pads and whatever else. And like for me, like Ted Carter, who I think is one of the most brilliant people who's ever graced the halls of Ohio State University, our new president, lauded this guy, and he went outside of the box and hired this guy. And again, I know multiple people that are members of BuckeyeScoop.com that sit on the board of trustees who I've talked to said how much they liked this guy. They interviewed this guy, background checked, fact checked, the whole nine yards. Like when you're in a position like this as the athletic director at Ohio State in modern times, there's no room to hide. There's nothing they can't find. Like they're gonna dig up every mole and look at every nook and cranny possible to figure out, make sure you're the guy. And this is their guy. Ross Bjork is the guy that Ted Carter, who again is probably the smartest president we've ever had at Ohio State. This guy's a Navy guy. You are not slipping one past this guy. There's no slickness. There's no sliminess. This guy is a pure dude. And he said, this is the guy. And the guys on that board of the people on that board of trustees that I know, and then the other, Clark Kellogg, Archie Griffin, they all came back and said, this is the guy. So, if Sports Illustrated writes something, that's cute and that's great. Sports Illustrated hasn't been relevant in 15 years, 20 years. They're not on TV. They don't even know if they print their magazine anymore. And then on the Ohio State side, you've got Archie Griffin, Clark Kellogg, members of the board of trustees that are really, really sharp people. Our new president, he's a genius, allowing this guy. So again, you have to take everything for what it's worth. Because again, this isn't like it's me and Nevada Buck's buddy or friend saying, "Oh, Ross Bjork is really good. Oh, he's my buddy. Oh, we went and we hung out with him in Vegas, or we used to run sports teams with him, or he's on our message board." Like, this is people that are way above our pay. Like, this is Archie Griffin, one of the greatest, most ethical, smartest human beings I've ever been around. Guy who's frankly been a business partner in Nevada Bucks, saying this is the guy. And the chalky thing to do would have been, let's hire Pat Chun. Pat Chun's been a part of Ohio State. He's from Strongsville. He's a Washington State guy. He was Gene Smith's little underling. And again, I've known Pat for a long time. It's nothing against Pat, but Pat is so supremely below average that I'm like, God bless. Are we really going to hire that guy to run the thing? Or Heather Like, who's also a total moron. Martin Jarman. I served on a charity board with Martin Jarman. Total, complete moron. He's an idiot. He's a guy that, it's amazing he's the AD at UCLA. fell all the way up the ladder. Gene, I'm sure, got him the gig. And again, I'm just trying to be nasty, but like I know these people, and like I've been around people that are wicked smart, sharp. Yes, yes, sir. Let's hire this guy. And then I've been around people that kind of fall their way up the ladder because they know the right people. They get put into good spots, and people are like, "Oh, well, he's the athletic director at UCLA," and I'm like, I've sat next to that guy. I sat next to him for on a charity board for 2 years. Total idiot, moron, and didn't fool Ted Carter, didn't fool this board of trustees. They said, "No, we don't. We need a wicked smart guy. Let's go out of the nest. Let's go Ross Bjork, a guy who's from A&M. He's run big funding. He knows how to fundraise. So, when it almost makes me happy, like when something like Sports Illustrated says the guy sucks, or it's kind of like when media people in this local industry that cover Ohio State football and sports, when they say something sucks or they say something isn't good, I know that I'm on the right path because they're so stupid that you shouldn't believe anything that they say. So when they say, when Sports Illustrated says, oh, they're critical of the hire and oh, he's not any good, or the dumbest human beings that cover Ohio State football think this isn't a great hire, then I know I'm on the right track. Because I was like, if the dumbest people on earth think this is a bad hire, then we nailed it. We aced it. And I couldn't be more excited about Ross Bjork. But your thoughts on that, Nevada? Because, I hate being right all the time, but like, I feel very strongly about Ross Bjork and Ted Carter. I think this is as strong of a battery as we've had. When I look at the idiots that we've had running Ohio State over the last 15, 20 years, going back to Karen Herbrook, Gordon Gee, Michael Drake, Christina Johnson. Like we've had an absolute parade of buffoons running Ohio State University. And then Ted Carter walks in and I'm like, good God, praise Jesus. We actually have somebody that actually knows what they're doing in life. Someone who's ethical, smart, doesn't hate the Midwest. Like this is going to be fantastic. So again, people can hate me, but they hate me because I'm always right. So your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I don't think you're always right, but I think you're right a lot of the time. But
I think I'm right on this one, man. I hit this shit out of the park.
Okay. Secondly, go watch him on YouTube. Go watch the press conference / introduction interview today, and just make your own decisions. Make your own decisions whether or not you feel like this guy is articulate, if this guy feels like he's got a genuine connection to Ohio, if he kind of gets it. And you can make your own call. You don't have to listen to Kirk. You don't have to listen to me. But I think he gets it. And, again, I don't want to take this too far down the rabbit hole, so I want to get into the next question. But I think that, there's reasons why a guy like that gets attacked by the media. I think the media has a certain perspective on things. And I think he doesn't quite fit their alignings, and that's why he becomes a target and they go after him. And I think he'll be great for Ohio State and do great things, but we're all rooting for his success. So what's the next question? Let's get after that one.
C Proud, thanks for the 5. We secured Downs, beef up Sonny Salas, and put him in Steele's spot, linebacker. If not Sonny at the spot opposite Simon, then who? I'd say, CJ Hicks is a guy that's going to be competing for that well spot. I mean, CJ is an enigma right now. CJ Hicks is a guy that's a 5-star guy. A lot of people have made a lot of his ability, but we finally got to see an extended look at him in the Cotton Bowl, and he did not look too hot. So I think that Sonny, to do right by Sonny, they have to put him down at will linebacker. They have to put him down in the box. That's where he can be dominant. He's not a dominant guy in space just because he's so big. And he's a very fluid, athletic guy, but I'd rather him be. He's a B-ish type player at safety in terms of athleticism, but if you put him in the box, he's an A+ player. And again, it's kind of like I had the same decision to make when I was coming out of high school, and some schools were recruiting me to be a tight end, where I would have been a B-, C+ athlete as a tight end versus like super athletic tight ends. Versus if I go play offensive tackle, I'm an A- to A+ athlete because I'm so much faster, bigger, whatever. So, that's kind of where we're at with Sonny. When he's a supersized jumbo athlete, do you keep him at safety where he can get exposed because he's not exactly the greatest athlete in the world for a safety, but at will linebacker, he's fantastic. So that'll be one of the stories of the spring. I think it depends on Caleb Downs. It depends on Lathan. It depends on, any of these young guys that want to develop and maybe take that spot. But I think that's going to be fascinating. Nevada, I imagine, let's go doomsday. We don't get Caleb Downs. Sonny starts off at safety day one of spring ball. How long does he stay there, and do they move him down to will linebacker eventually?
No, I think he moves him immediately. I think that's a move that's already going to be happening. And look, I mean, we talk about CJ, looking a little lost. I mean, Sonny's got to be better. I mean, I know I'm gonna say that, like everyone's like, oh, that's sacrilegious to speak against Sonny, but it's like, I mean, he's got to make more plays. I mean, he's great athletically. He's a great athlete. His dad was one of my favorite players of all time. Loved him as a Buckeye. Loved him in the pros. But I mean, Sonny's got to be better. He's got to be better. He's got to be a surer tackler. He's been in position to make tackles, and he's missed them. And I love his athleticism. I love the way he blitzes. I'd love to see him look a little bit more instinctive out there, and I think that'll come with experience in the defense. But if not, give me Gabe Powers. Give me somebody out there that has a nose for the ball, kind of an old school linebacker. Go next to Cody Simon, and let's go get it done. But no, I think he's a linebacker all the way. And as we talked about earlier, I think guys like Malik Hartford will start. Malik Hartford was really good last fall camp, like really good, like looking like the best player in the incoming class. And he kind of got shunned over. He got kind of the Jim Knowles, send you to the back of the bench treatment. But I'm telling you, do not sleep on that guy, because he's one heck of a player, and he could come out and have a breakout year for us, and that wouldn't shock me one bit.
So you're saying he got sent to the cornfield? That's what you're saying about that scoop.
He did.
Cornfield. Christopher Rich, thank you for the deuce. Kirby Smart is the new, quote, Sneaky Pete. I don't know if anyone is as sneaky as Sneaky Pete Carroll, but he's probably in the running. It's going to be real interesting. Nevada, do you think Kirby Smart is the new Sneaky Pete? Now, again, when Pete Carroll was at SC, they were cheating their balls off, but they were really good. I mean, like when I played at Ohio State, they were the Alabama or the Georgia they were the big bad wolf. Like when they had Reggie and Lendell and Leinert and Mark Sanchez, like they were supremely nasty on offense and defense. So I don't know if that's what you mean by Kirby. I don't think Kirby's ever had the balance that SC had back then, but do you think, Nevada, that Kirby Smart is the new Sneaky Pete Carroll?
Well, I think he's definitely the heir apparent to kind of the throne down there in the SEC. But I mean, when Pete Carroll had it going on at USC, you got to look at his assistant coaches, and they had Ogeron and Kiffin, and I mean they were rolling through stuff where they loved recruiting, and Pete Carroll genuinely loved recruiting. Okay, a lot of like Urban Meyer genuinely loves recruiting. Some coaches kind of tolerate it, but some coaches just revel in it, and that was Pete Carroll. And while Kirby's, I see the helicopters and I see the thing, and he's got the stuff. Man, Pete Carroll in his prime at USC, there might not have been anybody ever better. I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but nobody ever better. I mean, do you remember when they would lay in the 5-star quarterbacks, and it would be like they'd get like 2 in a class, and they get 2 in that, and you're like, how are all these 5-star quarterbacks going to USC when only one of them was going to play? And it's just like they would just all go. And so no, I think Kirby's really good, but man, prime Pete Carroll was he was something to behold, that's for sure.
No, he was. And they were a force of nature back then. Treasure the Torah. Thank you for the hundo. Great talking to you on the phone today, brother. I appreciate you. I learned your name today, so I'm going to say it. I won't say it on the podcast, but Kirk, what's good, family? I have great news, bro. I just talked to my cousin, and it's a go when you come down, which means I'm coming to Connecticut, baby. I'm going to Connecticut next week. I can't wait to go see Treasure the Torah. Introduce you to him. Everything from their family. Love and respect you, my brother. And stay strapped. You didn't put that in there. Torah, you're the absolute best. I can't wait to meet you in person. I'm going to load up whatever is the cheapest airplane I can get that Nevada will approve. And I'm going to come out to Connecticut and see you, brother. But it'll be super awesome. So I'm excited about that. Nevada, any words to Torah and us potentially finally getting a gambling partnership.
Well, Tor, thanks for all you do for Pay It Forward, and Kirk. I just say you just gas up the family truckster and just start driving to Connecticut now. You know what I'm saying?
It's cheaper. It's cheaper to fly than fill my truck up, man. I'm telling you,
no,
that gas would not last long in my truck, man. I'm telling you, I'd rather just fly. I'm telling you, I'll do the math.
Drive it out, and you in that Raptor driving out there with these 75-inch wheels or whatever the heck you got.
Oh, it would probably cost me like $5,000 to drive to Connecticut, where I could fly out there for probably $250 on the Southwest Express or whatever I'm going to be taking. So I'm going to be flying to Boston. I'll be flying to wherever's closest and Ubering, and I'll make it work. But driving is probably not going to be the answer because the gas is not cheap right now in our current America. Pooh Beard 12, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you, brother. We're going to do our Scoop Ultra chat probably the week between the Super Bowl and the AFC NFC Championships. So get ready for that. We're going to break down a lot of film. We're going to take a million questions. It's going to be completely awesome. So I'm super excited about that. Pooh Beard 12, again, thank you for the deuce. This day in 2001, we hired Jim Tressel. Go Bucks, Nevada. Do you remember where you were when you got the news that we hired Jim Tressel? And did you first say, what is a Jim Tressel?
Yeah, I remember being completely underwhelmed by the hire, and I'm not gonna lie. We've told the Bilotti stories, we've told the other things. The Glenn Mason stuff. I mean, look, there were a million people that I wanted other than Jim Tressel, and but when he got up there and made that speech at the basketball game, it certainly won me and a lot of people over. And then when they delivered. I thought that was like his finest moment because he said it in a way that he wasn't guaranteeing the victory, but he kind of was, and we'll be proud, and there's lots of reasons to be proud, and then they somehow managed to pull the upset. So no, I think Tressel was a wizard, a guy that meant so much to Ohio State football. But I got to tell you, when I heard that he was hired, I was like, Are you freaking kidding me? This is the best we can do as a Jim Tressel. Yeah, exactly.
What's a Jim Tressel? Like, we had Mike Bilotti, the head coach of Oregon. We had Glenn Mason, who was with Woody and Minnesota. Like seriously, could a hire like that ever happen again? Now, obviously, Ohio State wasn't at the level that it's at now. So this is Ohio State was a B-ish tier type program, hadn't won a title, weren't ultra competitive, and they're coming off of a 7-5-ish season under Coop. Obviously 98 they were great, fell off the earth 99, 2001. Could something like this ever happen at a program like Ohio State again, where you hire a 1AA or a low level MAC type guy to be the head coach?
Well, I mean, look, Notre Dame hired Marcus Freeman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Notre Dame's about as blue blood as they come, and they hire a guy with no head coach experience that I'm really not sure what his credentials were to be the head coach at Notre Dame.
Oh,
so yeah, I mean, but could it be a 1AA coach or somebody like that? I mean, especially given you see the success of some of these guys like a Kalen DeBoer or some of these guys that had success at a lower level. Could it happen? Sure. I mean, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, will we ever see like a Jerry Faust type of thing where you take some guy out of the Moeller Steamroller to college? I don't know, but I mean, the coaches are getting younger. And look at all the coaches in the NFL right now. The coaches in the NFL right now are 36, 38. I mean, I think Matt LaFleur's like the old head. He's like 40 or something like that. So, hey, I never say never when it comes to coaching because, you never know where the next great ideas are going to come from. And so, yeah, sure, I could see that happening.
Well, I just think that, the success of Lincoln Riley, obviously being like a young mid-30s, 34, 35-ish head coach at Oklahoma, beats us in the shoe. Sean McVay winning a Super Bowl as early as he did, it kind of broke a lot of barriers in terms of paying your dues and, does he have enough experience? It's like, if you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter if you've got 10 years experience, 15 years experience, no experience. And I think that, people that are hiring the head of a program, whether it's the NFL or college, they want a young, fresh, good-looking face that they can market. They can rally people behind. As long as he's not a complete dope, it doesn't hurt if you've got younger. And plus, you see the way younger is advantageous in recruiting and retention in the college level, where people use Nick Saban against them. I mean, we see how people use Larry Johnson's age, but imagine if your head coach is that old, like it was with Nick Saban. Then you get caught in this lurch where all of a sudden, a lot of these coaches are sitting there, hey, I told you Nick Saban was going to retire, 72 years old, just bought a $20 million house in Jupiter, Florida. Like, you might want to come correcting, come to our spot, and guys get caught. A lot of these guys like Caleb Downs and Kadyn Proctor and Richard Young, I'm sure they feel like they were lied to. I think they were probably fed, hey, I got 2-3 years left in the tank. I'm not going nowhere. And then all of a sudden he goes somewhere and they're just like, God, I don't want to play for Kalen DeBoer and his dorky staff. So, again, like the Tressel thing it was unbelievable. What I'm excited to see, what happens with a lot of these hires going forward. Because I think Ohio State's got a good young head coach with Ryan Day. Ross Bjork is a dynamic young athletic director. And I think that we're set up to do some pretty amazing things over the next 5 to 10 years. Expedition Greg, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Appreciate you. Always tagging me on Twitter as well, brother. Appreciate you. Thanks for the news. Any updates on Kadyn Proctor? Not a ton. I don't know. That one's going to be tougher than Caleb Downs to me. Again, a lot of smoke around Iowa. I mean, he's from Iowa. And again, the thing I always tell you people, because you people are smart. The folks that follow Buckeye Scoop are very smart people. I tell you, a lot of these big boys, these big bodies, big fat boys, big O linemen, big D linemen, D tackles, they're mama's boys. So what's Kadyn Proctor's biggest issue with Bama other than the fact that his coach is gone, Eric Wolford's gone, Saban's gone? He's homesick. He misses mama. And so who are all the experts projecting he's going to go to? Iowa. Why? Because that's where mama is. And that's what a lot of these kids do. And again, so when people would beat Greg Sudoir to death or beat Justin Fry to death or beat whoever to death, I'm like, guys, a lot of these big guys are not going far from mama. They're just not. So when you look at where a lot of these big offensive linemen, these big D tackles, if they're from Georgia, they usually go to Georgia. If they're from Bama, Louisiana, they usually go to Bama or LSU. They're from Texas. A lot of times they go to Texas. So, it's not, NIL's made it a little bit easier because they can, kind of take care of the parents, give them some travel money, give these kids a bunch of money. But a lot of these big bodies, they don't leave home. They're not as adventurous as like wide receivers are, DBs are. So it's a lot easier to go pluck a wide receiver out of South Florida than it is a big lineman, out of Texas or Bama or New Jersey or wherever. And I've seen it. I've lived it. I don't beat O-line coaches to death at Ohio State because I'm like, if he went to Bama, he probably would have gotten some of these big superstars. But Kadyn Proctor's projected to go to Iowa. Iowa is completely irrelevant in the national scene now that the Big Ten doesn't have divisions. But Nevada, your thoughts on Kadyn Proctor? Anything to get excited about, or is this thing you think put to bed?
I don't think it's put to bed, but I mean, Ohio State's going to kick the tires and see if there's any interest. Look, this is either going to be one where he declares immediately for Iowa, and this was just where he was going to go, or Ohio State's going to try to make a pitch. But they're definitely going to kick the tires on this. They'd love to grab another tackle if there's a guy that they have a chance to get a premier guy. This is a guy that they coveted through the recruiting process, so they know him. We'll see. I mean, Ohio State never seemed to have a lot of traction with him before, so I think this would definitely fall into the category of long shot. But Ohio State's going to kick the tires and see what happens.
Totally agree. Mike Clay, thank you for the 5. Next year, the higher seed in the first round of the new playoffs will host. Thoughts on warm weather teams coming up north in December, playing in the cold? I love it. I want to see more of it. I want to see it every week. I want to see people come up in the miserable, nasty cold that hate the cold. I think weather is a great equalizer. I think that a lot of these guys are going to hate it. I think we need to embrace it. I think that you want to embrace that cold, that nastiness. I think that a lot of Ohio people, a lot of Big Ten people have fantasized about SEC schools coming up in the cold in December because those SEC schools they never come north past September. So they're always in the heat. It's always relatively temperate, maybe a little rainy, but they don't deal with the extreme cold that like we have to. I think it'll be fantastic. Nevada, your thoughts on us potentially hosting a cold weather playoff game in the Horseshoe?
Well, again, it's irrelevant now that Gene Smith is gone. But I thought that Gene Smith's comment about potentially moving the first round playoff game out of the stadium to play in a dome because the weather would be better was one of the most it was just one of the dumbest comments that I've ever heard. And I mean, it was shockingly dumb. It was so dumb that I thought it was like The Onion or some sort of parody account that he would actually suggest that. Um, but no, he really did say it, and I'm just glad that I would hope that the new AD and the new president would not echo those feelings. I if they do, I'll tell them also that that's dumb. But no, I want to. First of all, I don't want to see a first round game in the stadium because I want us to be a higher seed so that we get that first round bye, get that little extra week of practice. But if we do have the unfortunate situation to be in that 5 through 8 spot, get it in the stadium, bring them up to Columbus, and then I want it to be cold and rainy and snowy and nasty, and let's get it on.
I mean, I honestly think the first home playoff game, if we ever host one as a 5 seed or whatever, it'll be the biggest home game we've ever had. I mean, we had Michigan games or whatever, but like to think that we could host a game in December at Ohio Stadium where it could be cold and we're hosting LSU or Auburn or some, warm weather team, it would be the greatest environment in Ohio State history. I think our fans would be tailgating like starting on like Tuesday afternoon all the way to Saturday. It would be just complete pandemonium because, again, I think that our people are built for the cold. I mean, you watch the Browns games, we play the Jets in the snow and it's miserable out and the stadium's completely full, slammed. I think that that's kind of what it would be like. And I think that the level of stupidity that it takes to actually say out loud to media that, we would want temperate climate and a dome and it basically just says that we're soft and we suck. We're a soft program. We're a soft outfit. I'm a soft athletic director. We have a soft head coach. That's basically what you're saying when you say, I don't want to play in the snow or it's windy and it's cold. And you can't build a team like that. You got to build a team for rugged all elements. And again, that's why I love football, because when it's rainy and terrible and cold, you got to be ready for it. Because, it can rain in September. You could have a monsoon, a hurricane, and you've seen games where it's been really rainy and you got to adjust the game plan a little bit. You can't throw it around and wing it 70 times. You got to go run the ball a little bit if you can't catch the ball and throw it. So I think that that was sad that he said that out loud, but I'm also glad that he's gone and we can get a little bit tougher in our administration and realize, look, a home playoff game would be the greatest. I can't even imagine how amazing it would be at the Shoe to have a December playoff game. And again, if it happens, I'll be there and I'll be as excited as I can't even imagine how excited I'd be. Josh Dillon, thank you for the 10. I know y'all don't think we have to win the title this year for Day to keep his job. I humbly disagree. That is completely fine. With this roster, he has to win it all this year to keep his job. And Kirk gets Kucherov. Thank you. Because I was like, I don't know if that's Dave Anderchuk or Stamkos or Martin St. Louis. Kucherov is a absolute monster. He's going to win the MVP this year if he keeps it up. So thank you for that. I don't know. Nevada, to say you got to win the title is such a tough gig because, there's only one team that wins the title. And, again, I'm not trying to be, I don't make excuses for Ryan Day or the program, but you need an incredible amount of luck to win a national championship. And you also need things to break the right way, whatever. But your thoughts on that? Do you think that Ryan needs to win a national championship to keep his job?
No, it's just, again, we have to remember that in my lifetime, we've won 3 national championships. We won in '68, we won in '02, and won in '14. So there's been an awful lot of good Ohio State teams that didn't win. And if we're going to be firing a coach, every 5 years because he didn't win the national championship or something like that, we're going to be burning through head coaches because it's hard, and it just got harder with this 12-team playoff. You're going to have to navigate some real, but you're going to be going Michigan Big Ten championship game against the number 2 team. No more Purdue, no more Wisconsin, no more Iowa. You're going to be playing Oregon or USC or Michigan back again or Penn State or whatever it is, and then you're going playoff game, playoff game, playoff game. So I don't think I would be stunned if he had to win the national championship to keep his job. But I know he's got to beat Michigan to keep his job, and I think that's a fair metric. We're all on it. We're all rooting for it to happen, and I think it will happen. And I'll be betting that it happens. So let's go.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan can't lose JJ McCarthy, Jim Harbaugh, like 8 other guys early, 44 seniors or whatever it is. Like, I mean, this is a layup for him to beat Michigan. It's at home. So, yeah, there's no excuse to not beat Michigan this year. I mean, everything in the universe is stacked towards your favor. Deborah Sobel, thank you for the 10. Glad you're feeling better. Agree with you on Ted Carter. What a career. Intelligent, disciplined. Sad to hear our athletic facility is so awful. Again, like, I've walked to the Woody Hayes. I've been to the Woody Hayes 800 million times. They've upgraded it. They've got a new cafeteria. I was shared a report by Brian Voltolini and Mark Pantoni that told me how, and this is like 2-3 years ago, how bad our facilities rank in an independent study versus the other 14 schools in the Big Ten. And this is Rutgers and Michigan. Our football building was in last place. They showed it to me. And I was like, there's no way we're in last place. There's got to be one of these little crappy Big Ten schools has to have a worse football facility. No, we had the worst football facility in the Big Ten. And I was like, and it was all these metrics. It was how new it was, square footage of the weight room, square footage of the meeting rooms, amenities, whatever. So this wasn't like just me being a hater or me being angry. This was like coming from them. And they're like, and they were mad because they're like, look, every other, Ernie Biggs has got a brand new building, which is baseball, softball, Olympic, track and field, whatever. Cavelli is the new wrestling building. They've got a new wrestling facility over there. They've got women's volleyball over there. The basketball team, new basketball facility, brand new, right next to the Shot. New boathouse for the crew team. They were like, literally every single sport has got in not a remake, not a renovation, a brand new facility. And I'm like, well, damn, I'd be mad too. The amount of money you guys bring in and the amount of fundraising you guys drive and whatever. So, I get there's a point where you can look like a whiny little, whatever, a whiny little brat if you're saying, oh, I don't have this or that or whatever. But like, they did have a point, and I'm like, I agree. And like, I look at like what A&M's got for their facilities in Michigan for football only. I'm not talking about the composite of every facility they've ever built, but like our football facility compared to our contemporaries, Georgia, Bama, Michigan, A&M, Texas, it's not even close in terms of how nice theirs are and how bad ours is. So again, I'm not saying like, don't cry for me, Argentina. Again, we get it done with what we got, but like I think that these players deserve more for the amount of money they raise and how good they've been and how much success they've had for the school. So again, I'm not, you guys call me big whiny Kirk and football deserves everything, but I think we deserve a better building. And again, it was an independent study. It wasn't like just me walking around looking at YouTube videos of all the places. This was an independent study that said we have the worst building in the Big Ten for football only. So it is what it is. I hope Ross Bjork can rectify that because that'd be fantastic. Tony Turley, thank you for the 50. Appreciate you, brother. I hope you're doing good up in Toledo. Guys, if I were forced to choose whether to get Downs or Proctor, I think I'd take Proctor. We need O-line help. As Kirk would say, your thoughts. God bless. That is tough, man. I don't know. I think if you put a gun to my head and say, Kirk, who would be better for us, I'd say Downs. Downs was the second team All-American as a true freshman last year. I think Caden Proctor is a good player. He's very heavy. I think he's got a lot of upside, but he got to get in better shape. And I know that you could whoop him and get about 30 or 40 pounds off of him, but Caleb Downs is like ready to be an All-American like today. So if you put a gun to my head and you wanted the safer pick of the guy that could be a dominant force on the 2024 Buckeyes, I think we can make it work at O-line, but I think you throw Caleb Downs on that defense, we've got an all-time great Ohio State defense. Nevada, do you agree, disagree? Caden Proctor versus Caleb Downs. I just think Caleb Downs has already proved to me that he's a first-round pick type safety after 1 year. Again, he was second-team All-American as a true freshman, which is insanely hard to do. Caden Proctor wasn't any sort of mention All-SEC. Now, granted, he started, did a nice job, freshman All-American, but I mean, Caden Proctor was one of the greatest safeties in the entire nation last year. So I think there's some difference there. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one. It's a tough one, but yeah, I think I'm probably 51% going with Downs, just based on the fact that he's just a proven performer. Whereas I think with Proctor, it's more about potential. And I really do believe in some of the guys that we have on our roster in our room. I've heard that from a lot of people that they like guys like Luke Montgomery, they like George Fitzpatrick, that they like Tigra, that Zen Mikulski. I mean, we've got guys, and now we've got we've got 5 guys that all started 15 games last year on the offensive line returning. 4 of them for Ohio State, 1 of them for Alabama, or 14 games or 13, whatever the heck it was. But it's a lot of games. We've got a lot of game experience, and I think that group's just going to get better. And so, yeah, Downs by a nose for me.
Yeah, I just think that it's Caleb Downs to me he's the guy. He's the guy that we get him. Defense is as good as we've ever seen. You put him next to Lathan. Good God, I couldn't imagine. Because with Kaden, you probably got to put him at left tackle. And I didn't think he was great last season. And again, I know he's a true freshman. Been a true freshman. I couldn't imagine playing on that stage as a true freshman. A lot of upside. He's very heavy-footed. Needs to lose some weight, but he's got a lot of upside. But, for next year to win the national championship, I'm taking Caleb Downs every day and 10 times on Saturday, just because if you plug him in there, he's ready to rock. There's not, hey, we got to get him a little skinnier. Hey, we got to get him a little tougher. Caleb's ready to roll. So there's my opinion on Caleb Downs. Pooh Beard at 12. Thank you for the 5. Laurinaitis just tweeted out Buckeyes, all caps. Sounds like Little Animal has his hooks into someone. Make him official already. Well, I think James is a guy that needs to be on staff. I think that this extended tryout where he went out and saw Leroy Roker and a bunch of people in Florida, again with Ryan Day today, isn't some accident. I think that Ryan wants to really get his hooks into him and see if he is truly wanting to be a coach. I know James Laurinaitis really wants to be a coach. I know that it's been put out by less scrupulous and frankly dumb media outlets that, there are people at Ohio State that aren't sure if James Laurinaitis wants to dedicate his life to coaching, and he's got 3 kids, and he's, there's always like this stupid misnomer where these guys are like, well, he's a millionaire from his time in the NFL, so is he really going to work hard at coaching? I'm like, dude, like, he's a GA. He's making $100,000 this year. He wants to make $3 million or $8 million or $15 million like a head coach does. Like, he's not doing that just for fun. He can go play shuffleboard or go golf every day if he wants to, but he wants to go be a coach. So hire him. Let him be the dynamic recruiter. Let him get, you know what I do? I'd hire him tomorrow and say, you know what? All right, James, you're the guy now. So we're going to get you and Tim Walton. You guys are going to fly down and go meet with Caleb Downs. Go bring him home. Let's see what you can do. See if you can relate to mom and dad. See if you can relate to a young kid, a superstar. Because James is the kind of guy, like, he'll get into this now, and y'all better watch out. Because, you'll mess around and figure out James Laurinaitis is a beast, and he gets on that recruiting trail. You better watch out now. You think Brian Hartline's good. I think James Laurinaitis is better than Brian Hartline. He's been better than Brian at everything. He's been a better football player. He was a captain. He was an All-American. He's a better NFL player. So why is that going to be a better recruiter? I'm just saying. So you mess around and you let James in, it's going to get real ugly. Nevada, your thoughts on James Laurinaitis on the recruiting trail?
I think it's done. I think Laurinaitis is going to be on staff. I said that last night. I have more information that kind of confirms it today. I think he's going to be the 10th accountable coach. And, well, Ryan knows what he's got. While this is an audition, I think this is one of those ones where he was just trying to see if there was something he was doing, the necessary due diligence just to make sure that everything that he thought about James was correct, and that's where he's at, and I expect that to be announced shortly.
I would cry tears of joy because James deserves it, and more importantly, like Ohio State and the people that support Ohio State, you guys deserve a guy like James Laurinaitis to be on that staff because I'm telling you, he is an absolute werewolf, a monster. He'd be a terror in the night in terms of recruiting, and we need guys like that. David Hankins, thank you for the 5. I assume this is for me. Kirk, you seem to know your hockey. CBJ guy, Julian saying definitely would clear out that QB room. Is he that good? I love hockey. Hockey, growing up was my favorite sport. My kid is obsessed with hockey. So we're in the Blue Jackets youth program where we're playing hockey every night. Nevada Buck has got a very deep hockey background, including we went to an NHL draft in Chicago. There was a draft where Nico Hischier went number 1. Cale Makar, I think, went number 4, 3 or 4. But it was a really top-heavy, spectacular draft when you look back at it. It pains me that the Blue Jackets are so bad. I've become really good friends with Jody Shelley, Jeff Rimmer, really good friends. Again, I think Jody does an exceptional job as the color guy for the Jackets down between the bench. I go to probably 10 games a year or so, but it stinks that they can't seem to figure it out. I love John Davidson. I think he does he's trying. I think Yarmo is probably on the thinnest ice that you could ever imagine. Fantilli is going to be a superstar, but it's just they've kind of been cursed. I mean, they've got a lot of really attractive parts like Johnny Gaudreau, Patrick Laine, guys. If you looked at them when they first got here, you're like, oh my God, we got that guy. And we got that guy. And it's been a disaster. The goaltending's been a disaster. They're 14 and 21. I just looked the record up, and that's unacceptable. And I think guys are going to lose their jobs. I think they have to find a real coach. The Babcock thing was a disaster, but I love hockey. Nevada is a diehard hockey guy. We talk a lot of hockey. Nevada's been at a lot of different levels of hockey. He's owned teams at all levels. He's looked at buying teams of all levels. He's junior hockey, whatever. Nevada, your thoughts on just hockey in general? Because again, I know that people probably don't realize your depth of knowledge when it comes to hockey at all levels, but just a quick thought on that.
Just great sport. If you're not a hockey fan, go to a game. Go to a game in person because the game doesn't translate as well on television. It's better with the large format television, high definition televisions. So it's better than when it was under a 29-inch analog. But if you haven't done it as a sports fan, just go to a hockey game, soak it in, and then check back because it's a great sport. And certainly as a football fan, you love the controlled violence, the athleticism of the players, and go check out a game and see if you like it.
Totally agree. And also, you said Julian saying it definitely would clear out that QB room. Is he that good? I think he's the best quarterback in the country last year. He's every bit as good as Dylan Raiola. I don't know if he'd be worth taking. Obviously, we'd lose probably Aaron Lincoln immediately if we took that kid, but he's not in the portal yet. But he is a very, very talented player. And I'm sure Ryan would be very, very interested if he became available. C. Brown, thank you for the 10. Ryan Day has been close to a natty on a couple of times, but he always seems to come up short. That's the frustration as a Buckeye fan. Near misses, wasted talent. What's the answer? Mariotti, Day, talent, question mark. Well, I think it's a lot of it comes on Ryan. I mean, Ryan's the head coach, so he's got to absorb everything. There's people that blame the defense. There's people that blame circumstances like Marvin Harrison getting knocked out of the game. There's people, like this Missouri game, I don't really count just because it was such a strange bird with us losing Kyle McCord and then, our starting quarterback getting knocked out early and we're forced to play an 18-year-old. So the Cotton Bowl doesn't really mean anything to me, but I think there's a lot of blame to go around. I think the players deserve blame. I think Ryan deserves blame. I mean, I think Mickey Marotti, maybe some, but not a ton. You know, the strength coach, I mean, our guys always look like they're physically ready to go. But I think it's mostly Ryan. I think that he needs better coaches around him that can help him. I think that he's had kind of a dearth of talent. And I think, frankly, you know, we had some guys playing defensively that shouldn't have been playing, especially 2 years against Michigan. We had some safeties that shouldn't have been out there. But, you know, again, I think that it's mostly Ryan. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
I mean, just small sample size. You know, when you come plays, I mean, look, we missed a field goal. We missed a field goal, and we can question the play calls. We can say we should have been closer. But like you make the field goal and you win, and everything's great. And so to me, the narrative doesn't completely change about Ryan Day because we missed a field goal, and that's just the way I view it. I think it's probably my hockey background where I look for like 1/16 of an inch on a puck hitting the inside of the post and going in or going out, and you're going to change everything you think about that team based upon that. Now, I think Ryan Day's got us knocking on the door and he's ready to kick it in, and I think that's the way things work sometimes. Teams don't usually go from 0 to 100 miles an hour. It's usually a process. The last 2 years has been the process. Now we're getting ready to kick it in, so let's go.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sean Krika, thank you for the 5. James Laurinaitis Buckeyes tweet came at a bad time with all the downs going on. Yes, it did. Fans are definitely trying to connect the two. Ha ha. Yeah, I mean, I think any sort of cryptic tweet at this hour is going to get tied to Caleb Downs and the efforts to land him. So maybe James knew what he was doing. Maybe he didn't. I imagine he did, just because, you know, these guys don't live in, they don't live in silos. These guys see what's going on. They see what people are excited about. They know Caleb Downs is kind of he's the magical word right now. As everyone wants to talk about Caleb Downs. So it'll be interesting to see what that means and if anything comes from it with James. But I think that he is probably excited about something on the road or some sort of recruiting news or whatever, and he tweeted that, and he's got to kind of learn the lay of the land when it comes to dealing with our fan base somewhat. Well, Nevada, it's a good show. Caleb Downs, Caden Proctor. I don't know if we have any more super chats. I think we burned through all of them. So Nevada, any final thoughts as we wrap this thing up? This is a big day. It's insane what is going on in college football right now. I will say 9 players from Arizona have entered the transfer portal in the last 30 minutes. Jedd Fisch took the Washington job. So, there's these guys moving on from program to program. It really kind of rips the seal off of these teams, and kids start portaling. And so it's kind of a chain reaction where people have to figure out who are we going to have as our coach and how fast can we get the search done. Because I think that, like in the olden days when the roster was set, kids were stuck, there was a little bit more time where you could do a true, thorough coaching search. But now, man, it's like every day that goes by, kids are hitting the portal and they're gone. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada, before as we let this thing go? The way that the portal opens as soon as Jedd Fisch goes to Washington, and now these guys are kind of all open for business.
Well, I just think you better have a good player personnel department. You better have an analysis out there, because it's not about how good Arizona was. The question is, do they have one player that can help you? That's just one player. Is there one guy you can poach that can help your team get better? Because like you said, they're open for business, and I think it's emphasizes how important player personnel, not knowledge of these other rosters is at all times. And for Ohio State, it's great to be in a position where we've been able to deploy our resources towards proven players, either proven players on our roster or proven players on other people's rosters. But I think Ohio State's playing NIL exactly right, as opposed to teams that were going all in on unproven high school kids. And look, the future's bright for Ohio State, and I think the next 24, 48 hours will definitely tell the tale in terms of Caleb Downs, and I think we're all excited to see. And I know I'm going to be burning up the phones tonight, seeing what I can find out about it. But we're absolutely a player in this one, so let's go get it done.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic to see how this all shakes out. Well, we will wrap this thing up. With that being said, appreciate you guys kicking all this. We will be back again tomorrow. Hope you guys had a great Wednesday. What a fantastic day. Caleb Downs is in the portal. We did about 6 straight episodes where we had him as our thumbnail, and here we are. So let's see what we can do to get this guy locked in and make him a Buckeye. With that being said, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. And we appreciate all of your support on this channel. It's been fantastic. Shout out where you guys are watching from, and put in the comments, do you want Caleb Downs or Kaden Proctor? I'd love your thoughts on that. Obviously, you guys are all worried about offensive tackle, so it'd be interesting to see where Kaden Proctor finishes in that voting. So throw that in the comments as well. Again, I read all the comments. I appreciate you guys, as always, kicking it with us. That being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great night. Join us on BuckeyeScoop.com. Tonight, we're going to have breaking news. Anything that happens tonight will be broken on BuckeyeScoop.com first, because that's the way we do it. And we'd love for you guys to join our premium message board, because it is a fantastic place to hang out when we aren't broadcasting live. It's kind of like our live stream, except it's 24 hours a day. So I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much. Go Bucks.